Hi there, and welcome to The Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is July 13th. We've been having some very hot July days. The garden writer Jennifer Latham wrote about sweltering in the garden in a piece called The Joys of July. She remembered walks to her father's garden that were slow and hot, the wheelbarrow that felt heavier on the way back. She'd stop and linger under the shade of a giant willow that grew nearby, or gaze over a neighbor's fence at a lonely persimmon tree that had just set fruit. If she went to the garden in the afternoon, she saw plants wilt in the intense heat. But if she came back in the morning, she saw the recovery. That, she said, was the part she loved, seeing the garden recover. By 4 o'clock most days in July, the garden looks a bit bedraggled. The hydrangeas are flat, the cucumber leaves are pancakes, the tomatoes are praying. But when you get up the next morning and walk outside, somehow they all come back. Every leaf is upright, every stem is standing. The plants quietly insist they aren't done yet. That's the July garden, showing you what it's made of. Here's today's garden history. It was on this day, in 1781, that the French military engineer and botanist Joseph-François Soleirol was born in Verdun. He was raised to be a military man, made a captain at 26, built fortifications for the French army, and taught at the artillery school in Metz. But his real love was plants, a passion he shared with his younger brother and a fellow soldier named Henri. In the early 1820s, Henri spent 3 years collecting plants in Corsica. Joseph-François published his work. One of the plants was a tiny creeper with charming leaves the size of lentils. Today, gardeners know it simply as baby's tears. A French botanist named it Soleirolii, Soleirolii. And for almost 200 years, botany credited the discovery to Joseph-François. But in 2019, a pair of Swiss botanists studied the history of the brothers and determined that it was Henri, the brother who had found it in Corsica, who should have the credit. But since both brothers were named Soleirol, the name was right the whole time. And now the record has been set straight. And it was on this day, in 1881, that the Japanese landscape architect Takeo Shiota was born. He grew up in a small village outside Tokyo at a time when Japan was very busy, laying railroads, building factories, and training a modern army. He became a gardener, and he learned what he needed to know by walking the Japanese islands and sketching everything he saw: the mountains, streams, plants and mosses, and the way snow settled on old pines. At 26, he couldn't speak English, but he sailed for America. The Brooklyn Botanic Garden gave him a chance in 1914. They hired him to build a Japanese garden that covered 3 acres. Takeo designed it. Crews of men and horse-drawn equipment built it. There was a pond, a 5-tier waterfall, a vermilion gate rising out of the water, a small Shinto shrine. And then Takeo added some of what he'd seen on his walks back home: leaning pines shaped into clouds that would hold falling snow on their branches. The garden took a year to make, and it became the first Japanese garden to grace an American botanic garden. It was free to the public, and for 25 years, people came to escape the city. Takeo wrote to his niece, "This garden is the pride of my life. I believe it will live long, and my soul will be always living in the garden. Takeo worked in America for 35 years, creating beautiful gardens up and down the East Coast. He was 61 when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, 61 when he was arrested as an enemy alien and sent to an internment camp in South Carolina. He died there on the 3rd of December, 1943. In today's Unearthed Words, we hear from the English poet John Clare, born on this day, July 13th, in 1793. John was born in the village of Helpston in Northamptonshire, England. He cut peat, gleaned grain, and mended fences. He also worked at the Burley House estate, 9 miles from his home, clearing weeds and sludge from the fish ponds. He said, "I found the poems in the fields and only wrote them down." Here's an excerpt from his poem, Summer. Come we to the summer we will come. For the woods are full of bluebells, and the hedges full of bloom. And the crow is on the oak, a building of her nest. And love is burning diamonds in my true lover's breast. As John approached 50, his mental health declined. His family put him in an Essex asylum. In July of 1841, he walked away. 80 miles, back home, back to the woman he loved, not remembering she had died. By the end of that year, John was committed again, this time in Northampton, where he remained for over 20 years until his death on the 20th of May in 1864 at the age of 70. John Clare left behind so many beloved poems, including this one that is a favorite of gardeners. All nature has a feeling. Woods, fields, brooks are life eternal, and in silence they speak happiness beyond the reach of books. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, A Patchwork Garden by Sydney Edison. This week, we're celebrating Garden Memoirs Week with 5 days of books devoted to lives changed alongside plants, seasons, and changing landscapes. A Patchwork Garden is subtitled Unexpected Pleasures from a Country Garden, and it's Sydney Edison's account of how she and her husband Martin created a garden on 8 acres in Connecticut. They started from scratch with almost no experience and did it anyway. Sydney remembered, "My textbook was trial and error, lots of the latter." Over time, the garden became something she hadn't quite expected. A place of plants, yes, but also a place of people. Many of the plants came from friends. Every one had a story. Every plant reminded her of someone. Sydney believed that when you looked at flowers, you see people. And she also claimed it is a tradition among gardeners to share. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1858 that the British garden writer Jane Webb Loudon died in London at the age of 50. After her parents died, she started writing books to support herself, and at 20, she sat down and wrote a science fiction novel set in the year 2126 called The Mummy. She predicted women in pants, steam-powered surgeons, something like the internet, coffee machines, and a steam plow. She published it anonymously in 1827. A popular Scottish garden writer named John Claudius Loudon read it, loved it, and wrote a glowing review. He arranged a lunch with the author, expecting to meet a gentleman, but 22-year-old Jane walked in instead. 7 months later, they married. They moved into a small house at 3 Portchester Terrace in Bayswater, London. Jane didn't know anything about gardening, so she started attending lectures. She read her husband's books, and she worked beside him in the garden. Then she wrote Gardening for Ladies and helped bring gardening to thousands of women. Jane believed experienced gardeners often forgot what it was like to be a beginner. And in her book, she explained, "We can never enjoy thoroughly anything that we do not understand." As we close the show today, remember, the garden is stronger than it looks at 4 o'clock on a hot afternoon. And what looks like collapse is often just rest. By the next morning, it's standing again, drinking, reaching. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.